in the background. All right, we are live on the Common Grounds podcast tonight on Meet Your Coffee Roaster. We've done some change up for SEO purposes when we post this thing up on YouTube and the interwebs. So this is our official first episode of Meet Your Coffee Roaster.
Nice.
And tonight we're going to be talking with Chris from Fair Dinkum. Did I say Dinkum right? I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not sure of my Aussie lingo. And we'll get into that later. But, shout out to our sponsor, roastersmarketplace.com. We've got, I think at last count was 120 different roasts now available on.
Very cool.
Which is really, really cool. We added our 16th roaster a few days ago, Trail Creek from up in Minnesota. So way up north.
Nice.
On the other side up near.
Very cool.
Up near Canada, I guess. So they're still in winter up there.
Ooh.
We're almost in summer here in
Yeah.
Houston. The green is coming. It's all over my truck right now. There's like a layer on the pool. It is already hitting me in the face too. So Chris,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Chris, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm really excited to be here. I really appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you coming on, man. And
of course,
I think you were roaster number 2 or 3 on board when we kicked this off back in December. So it was pretty cool having you on and doing some different stuff with y'all. And tell me a little bit.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about where you're from, what you do, what your real life your real life hustles are, and then tell me how you got into coffee, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. So I was born and raised right here in Deer Park, Texas. Never left. Like I said, I've been here my whole life. For 10 years now, I've been an HVAC technician.
One of the most crucial jobs in Texas.
in Houston, for sure. Yeah, it never stops. That's for sure.
Emergency surgeon. HVAC I mean, you're talking about.
Yeah. It definitely never stops, man. It's always going year round. We never have any downtime.
Yeah. We were off on that subject. I was discussing it with one of my friends up north in Ohio about how we were fixing to have to change out we're going to have to change out a unit. That's all there's to it. One of our unit, 15, 16 years old, I think it is.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, you should get 20 or 30 years out of that. I'm like, no. December, that thing's cranking. It's cranking in December. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So HVAC, and what else do you do?
So we have a air filter subscription service that we do. We send the air filters, right to your doorstep, and that's operated out of my house. And then we have Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast that we do as well.
I need to get that link. I should have got that link from you. I'll get it from you in just a second.
Okay, cool.
And put up in the comment.
Yeah.
Stacy Hughes says, "Hey guys, she's on."
What's up, Stacy?
There we are.
That's my rock star right there, dude.
Okay.
That's my rock star.
There we go. So now the star of the show, and I think it's really really cool what you're doing with Fair Dinkum. And
I appreciate that, man. There's been a lot go into this. There really has.
And I want you to tell us about how you got into coffee. And I really want to focus on your mission and what you're doing with that with your company. But tell us how you got into coffee.
So I'm a YouTube guy, man. I will sit down and I will YouTube for hours on end, okay, about random stuff. And the way this all started is I was laying in bed one night, probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and my mind just going 100 miles an hour. And I was like, I wonder how coffee's done. Like, what is the process of this, right? So I start getting into this, and then my mind's like, well, we can grow it here. I can grow it and I can sell it here. Well, just that's not here in the United States. That's not a thing. You can't. The altitude's not right. So I start doing research of where it comes from and how to get it, how to get the green here and all that stuff. So it it was about 3 months on YouTube, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy. It was a little popcorn roaster, right? It can't be that hard. There's not that much to it. So I bought this little popcorn roaster, man, and I was all gung ho, and I put them raw beans in there, and chaff was blowing everywhere, and the whole nine. And I pulled them out, immediately ground them up, put them in my drip pot, and it was the nastiest thing I'd ever tasted. It was awful. So then I learned that there's actually a science behind this, and that's what intrigued me. That's what sparked my interest. There's this that you don't just put beans in a roaster and call it good. Like the degassing period and all that. There's a true science behind it, and it took me probably 100 pounds of raw beans to get one of my roasting profiles completed the way I wanted it.
And are you still roasting? Y'all still roasting on the little roaster?
Yeah, with the SR 700 is what we're roasting on right now. It's a little 4-ounce roaster.
4-ounce roaster. So you're talking about
4-ounce roaster.
That's you've got to roast 3 separate roasts to make a 12-ounce bag of coffee, huh?
Yeah. It runs. That little roaster runs for 8 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, man. It has not let me down yet.
That is awesome. Hopefully we can send you some more traffic. You're going to have to upgrade that thing.
Hopefully, man. I'm hoping for that 1 pound roaster. That's our next step.
That's the next step. Well, you know, it's so neat to talk to you guys and gals. I was actually on the phone with a possible roaster from Michigan today. Talked to her today, and it was her and her daughter are the roasters. So mom originally started running the business and roasting. Now mom's more involved in the roasting process itself, and she trained her daughter how to roast. Her daughter's in their 20s, a little bit older than our crew that we've got, but she taught her how to roast. And they're roasting on a commercial size roaster, and it's all
very cool.
It's all scalable, and as you grow into it, you can grow into the different size roasters. I think Liam and Ian, who I had on a few weeks ago, he's still roast on a pretty small. I think he's got a 3 kilogram is what he's going, but that's still like 4 times the size of your roaster there. Y'all putting in the work.
Yeah, dude. It's like I said, that little roaster runs for 8 hours a day.
So
it's nonstop.
So what led you to make the transition from just roasting for yourself and your friends to Fair Dinkum?
So me and my buddy John are very entrepreneurial spirited. And after I got into this, he was like, dude, why don't you start selling this stuff? And I was like, maybe one day, maybe, once I get to a different level or to the next level, maybe. And he came over and he tried this stuff and he was like, dude, like, you're there. Like, what are you doing? We need to start packaging. We need to start selling. I was like, okay, perfect. So we start going, the wheels are turning. And I said, we already have Falzo that's bringing in income. And we already have Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast that's potentially going to be bringing income. Let's do something that no one else is doing. Everybody else is a for-profit company, right? Everybody else is in it to win it, right? They're in it to make a living. So we decided to transition over to a nonprofit. And the legwork that goes in behind a 501c3 stamp is mind-blowing. I mean, it took us a solid 8 weeks to obtain that stamp and probably 30 pages of paperwork.
It's so much work that goes into that. I've had buddies that did. I'm going to throw that link up for at least the
perfect.
Stitcher. That's the first one that popped. That's what I was looking for.
Cool.
But there's just so much that goes into that 501c.
Oh yeah,
to get it.
There is, man.
And what do y'all focus on your efforts? So when you do, I know what it is, and it's really cool because I've shared it every time I've seen you talk about it.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about. Oh, looks like somebody just ordered. Never mind. We had I thought an order popped up, but it was Amazon. We bought Frozen 2. Apparently, the girls are watching Frozen 2 tonight.
Oh, nice.
But tell us about your charity and how you impact your local community.
So like I said, when we launched this, we wanted to keep it super simple. So once a month or once every quarter, we'll hold a board meeting, and all five of us will sit down and we'll decide what charity we're going to donate to. And we keep our money here in Deer Park, LaPorte, and Pasadena, and it all goes to organizations involving children, like sports leagues, the high school. We just recently done like 3 or 4 benefits that we've like donated baskets to and stuff like that. But every quarter we donate all of our profits to that chosen organization.
That's awesome.
So so the first quarter of 2020, it's going towards a scholarship for one Deer Park High School senior.
Awesome. That means a lot to those kids too.
Oh, yeah.
What's the selection process on how do y'all select the candidate?
So they submit a form to the high school, and the high school will send us over all the applicants, and we have to go through and read each one of them, and we'll all decide as a group, who we think is deserving of the scholarship.
That's awesome. You could actually, have them come over and help you put that swim. Are you putting a swimming pool in? They do some yard work here.
There you go. Volunteer.
That'd be the way to do it. That's awesome, man. Because there's a lot of. Go ahead. Sorry.
I said no. It's really cool, man. I've got to meet and talk with a bunch of people, and it's a really good time.
When a little bit about me, when I joined the military right out of high school, almost. I think I took like a 6-month break to do stuff I shouldn't be doing and to figure out that I shouldn't be doing it just long enough. And so when I got out in 2013 and went to school, I was just blown away at the fact that there were high school kids in Lone Star, in the community college, and some of those high school kids were either in public school or they were in private school, not private school, but they were homeschooled and they were taking college classes. And there was a young lady in my speech class, I think it was my speech 2 class, and she was going to graduate high school with an associate's degree.
Wow.
She was,
that's
by
incredible.
the time it was just amazing. And I was like, I didn't even know that was possible, or was that possible back in the Stone Age when I went to high school?
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how dedicated some of these kids are. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Being able to turn that around and invest in them and do that is pretty cool. Have you ever thought about doing anything for like a tech school, or is it all just college?
No. So we wait. So what do you mean? Like
a trade school, like an actual, everybody's like, oh, you don't necessarily need a college degree. How about get a technical?
Oh, of course. So, one of the stipulations of the scholarship is you have to be going into a field of study that involves children.
Oh, okay.
Like teaching or nursing or, stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
And my brother is actually the one who wrote this scholarship up because he is a teacher. So he wrote the scholarship up. He wrote all the specifications, to go with it and all that good stuff.
I wish we could have had him on too again tonight.
He's actually on a flight to Paris right now.
That's right.
I was just texting him like 3 minutes ago. He was like, "Man, I'm so sorry I can't be there." I'm like, "It's all good, man. We got it."
Going to Paris for spring break.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
His buddy's up there.
I've never been out of an airport in Europe. I've always been through there, but I've never been able to get out of the airport. So one of these days, man. All right, let's get back into talking about coffee a little bit.
All right.
So, what is your favorite part about the whole entire process? What's your favorite part about roasting coffee?
So we let our beans degas for 4 days in nitrogen containers. Okay. Hands down, the best part about it is opening those containers after they've degassed. I mean, you can't. It hits you right in the face. Just the aroma and the smell is just phenomenal. That's probably my least favorite is the grinding. Man, I hate grinding it. It drives me. It takes forever and it drives me crazy.
And so it's talking about the grinding process. When you are grinding, you're grinding your Texas pecan blend because you can still get the house blend. You've got two roasts. So for people who don't know yet, you've got two roasts. You've got your house blend, which is a Colombian blend, right? And then you've got your Texas pecan, which is your Colombian beans with what? Tell us about that.
So we roast, we buy and roast pecans here locally, okay? And then we add ground cinnamon and vanilla beans. We roast the vanilla beans and it all gets ground together.
So you're not using any spray fake flavor?
No,
it's hardcore.
There's no spray, there's no oil, there's nothing artificial about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We had I think you watched the podcast with Brian from Unrest. He does that in some of his winter blends or his harvest blends and stuff, where he's grinding that straight spice into it. And you can tell, I mean, it's a huge difference when you're talking about.
It is, man. It really is.
It's delicious. I haven't had the Texas pecan blend yet. I need to get on and order a bag. But my buddy Daniel, it's the guy who's orders a bag from you about every 2 weeks, you know, and he's hooked on it. He's really, really hooked on it. And I've also sent your coffee out to, I think, the farthest away. I think we had an order in New York, I think.
Okay.
I remember.
There was one that went to San Diego, California.
Yeah, that's Daniel. Mm-hmm. He's out there on the West Coast.
Very cool.
So what's your ratio? Don't give away any secrets. But what's your ratio on the Texas pecan? How did you say that you were going to do that?
So HEB sells their Texas pecan blend, right? And when I first started this, I just started throwing pecans, ground pecans into the coffee and expecting to get that extreme flavor. And I didn't. So after picking apart those K-cups and really trying to figure out how, what goes into that and why does it taste like, I don't want to say a snickerdoodle flavor, but that's kind of what it is. Mm-hmm. We blended it up, man. And it took about 2 weeks to make that profile.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is out of those two, well, and you can talk about anybody else too as well, but what's your current favorite roast that you've got? Which one of the two?
The Texas pecan by far, man. I mean, it's every time if I put anything else on in this house, my wife will throw a fit. She's like, "Come on, man! Like you can't skimp a little, like
Do you have any? What's your drink of choice typically when it comes to coffee?
Is my drink of choice?
Yeah, like just straight up black coffee, or are you cream and sugar guy?
I am half and half in sweet and low, but cold brew with a little bit of half and half, man. That's my go-to all day long.
Cold brew.
I love it.
What's walk us through your cold brew process, if you will.
So I let people are different when it comes to cold brew. There's, several different ways to do it. I let mine steep for 48 hours in a 64-ounce jar in the refrigerator. Some people leave it on the counter. I prefer mine to be like a true cold brew in the fridge. And it steeps for 48 hours.
Are you using a gallon jar, or what'd you say?
Yeah, so it's a 64-ounce mason jar. Okay. Is what I use. And
then you use a cheesecloth, or you've got a special filter or anything?
Yeah, so we have cheesecloth bags that you just fill them up to the brim, tie a knot, and drop it in there, man. Let it sit for 2 days.
Is that something that's reusable, or somebody can get online? Where can they get those bags if somebody's watching and says that's a
So
good
they're
idea?
technically recharges. So it's a one and done type of deal, and we do sell them on our website. 2 charges in a bag.
Okay, so you sell ice brew, a cold brew kit?
Yes.
Okay.
Not the kit, just the recharges.
Just the
we
bags.
don't sell a kit.
Okay,
Yeah, just the bags.
Yeah, I talked to one roaster a few months ago, and they were wanting to do the jars and the kits, and I was like, I looked at it, I was like, it doesn't make any sense on me for shipping on it.
Exactly.
Because that jar is so heavy.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? How about let's just do the kit? So that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I might actually look into get some of those kits as well.
It's my favorite, man. It's perfect. I love it.
I bought a fancy little cold brew maker that has like a metal filter that goes down in, and it does a pretty good job. But I think you might get 24 to 32 ounces out of that, if that. Once you fill it all the way up with coffee, and you
gotcha.
It doesn't do a really good job of making a large quantity, because the time you pour 2 20-ounce glasses, one for me, one for the wife, it's gone. It's gone. So
of course.
I was actually looking at the different options that Walmart has the other day, and Walmart has a lot of. They've got a really big cold brew or French press. You can do either or in it. I think it was like almost a gallon. I was like, well, that's a pretty interesting option when it comes down to it.
It's pretty cool.
Other than cold brew, what's your favorite way to brew coffee?
Just your typical, your straight up standard pour over.
Which one do you use typically? Do you use like a V60 or do you use Chemex?
No, just a pot, like a pot of coffee. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. For somebody that's new and just getting into the specialty coffee and different coffee, how would you recommend that they go about it? This is one of the questions I always ask, just because everybody asks me that. They're like, well, what do I do, Chris? What do I need to get? What does this mean? Or, the different stuff. So what do you typically recommend somebody to do if they're face to face with you?
My only advice is don't overcomplicate it. Like, there's 1,000 different ways to do it. There's 1,000 different blends out there. There's 1,000 different roasters. Don't overcomplicate it. Go buy you a bag and put it in your coffee pot at the house. The only thing I do recommend is when it is brewing, open it up and stir that coffee around in there. Mm-hmm. Because like on the original drip pot, it just drips usually in one area and it leaves the circumference of the coffee not touched. So if you are doing it through, like your home coffee pot, open that lid up, take a spoon, and, stir the coffee grounds around in the filter. You get 1,000 times more flavor when it comes out.
That's a good point.
When you do it that way.
That's a good trick. I'm going to start recommending people to do that.
I mean, it's simple, it's easy. And then once you, figure out your niche, once you figure out what you like, then you can limit down to, okay, I'm a breakfast blend guy. I'm a French roast guy. I'm a French press guy. You know what I'm saying? Like the craft coffee it reminds me a lot of the craft beer. People get so overwhelmed in the beginning because there's so much of it. Just go buy one bag and try it. Go buy a sample bag and try it. And then go from there. Keep it simple. There's no reason to overcomplicate.
And that's, I'm not going to say the name of the big competitor, but that's what they do. You go on their website and the first thing they start asking you is questions on what kind of coffee you like, and it basically picks it basically does all the work for you and lets the, whether or not it's doing a truthful scale is a whole different thing. Cause I looked into one of those programs for my website and I was like, that's a lot of stuff to plug in there. But at the end state was I would be choosing what they would be drinking.
Of course.
So
absolutely.
Is it really that that algorithm's figuring it out, or is it somebody plugging in that I'm going to sell them the bag of coffee that I have either the most of or that I make the most money off of.
Of course.
And
I mean, and people going into this, they already know if they're a breakfast blend hand or if they're a medium hand or if they're a dark or French roast hand. Like they already know the basics. So when you transition into specialty coffee, like focus on your breakfast blends because it's labeled plain as day across the front of the bag. It's no different than your store bought. It's just,
4 days old as opposed to
there
4
you
months.
go.
I
There
did
you go.
I had to hit like $11 the other day on a Whole Foods order. I didn't want to get the girls out, and so I was like, I'll get a bag of coffee, and it was from December. It was actually, it did have a roast on date, but it was December.
Surprising.
Which
Okay.
is fresh when it comes to grocery store coffee. 3 months old.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
really and I made a comment today on one thread on one of the Facebook groups. It was like, they're like, what's your favorite grocery store coffee? I said one that has a roasted on date as opposed to an expiration date.
There you go. There you go.
If
there's a really cool trick you can do, man. If you take 2 glasses of water and you take a scoop of let's say one of the big guys from the grocery store. I don't want to say their name to, save face or whatever, but big red can, scoop it on, take 1 scoop, put it on top of the water, and then take a specialty roaster, any specialty roaster stuff, and take that scoop and put it on top of the water. Dude, in 20 minutes, the big guy stuff, it'll all sink to the bottom because it's so full of fillers and preservatives and all that other junk. That craft coffee will sit on top of that water for 6 hours before it starts to sink.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I know. I like the whole the bloom trick, right? I love, I've got coffee before that was literally like roasted on Monday and was dropped off on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's still super degassing. And so I ground it, threw it in the pour over. And I mean, it was rolling. The gas was rolling out. And you can take a coffee that's a month old and you'll just get a bubble.
Yep.
That stuff that's 6, 7 months old is just so flat and lacking flavor. It is crazy.
Yep.
So you've got a lot of stuff going on, man.
Yeah, I do. We're pretty busy.
What other projects besides the podcast and the coffee and the regular job? What else do you have in works?
So for Fair Dinkum, fingers crossed, within the month we're gonna have 4 new coffees available.
Okay.
We're gonna have our decaf, our French roast, breakfast blend, and then hopefully like a caramel coffee. We just taste tested the decaf, breakfast blend, and the French roast, and it all was phenomenal. We just gotta take pictures and do all that good stuff and get them online. As far as the caramel, that's a whole nother animal. Hopefully within 2 years, we're actually going to be importing raw beans to Houston. That's our goal.
Buying a Connex at a time, huh?
Yep.
40,000 pounds of coffee.
44,000 pounds of green beans.
Right.
That's the plan, man. And the only reason I say that is because when we got into a pinch in December, there's nobody in Houston that sells Colombian beans. Dude, we spent days looking, and they're all in Florida. There's some in California. There's some in New Jersey. But there's nobody in Houston. So that's one of our plans in the future.
I remember that. I remember you called me up. You're like, "Hey, man, I'm out of coffee. I'm sorry." I was like, "It's okay."
Yeah. Well, I mean, we sold through in Christmas. We sold through probably 150 pounds of beans in 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
It was crazy.
That we were pretty busy in December as well.
Yeah,
it could pick back up a little bit right now. I think everybody can get online and order some coffee.
There you go.
It'd be awesome. So, as a small business owner, in multiple ways. So you've got the 501c, you've got Fair Dinkum, and then you've got Falzo's filters.
Yeah, Falzo filters.
We'll throw that up there. What are the advantages that you see of owning your own small business?
The sky's the limit, man. There's nobody telling you what to do. There's nobody telling you how to do it. It's all, what can you come up with? How can you delegate? What do you want to see in the future? Like it's 100% up to you. And the way that I do things is on all three of my endeavors, I delegate. Like on the podcast, dude, if I'm just being 100% honest with you, I never in a million years would have sat down in front of a mic and thought I'd be talking to somebody, right? Well, my brother-in-law, Nick, dude, like he missed his calling. The dude is so good at it. He's phenomenal at he's like, it's like a radio voice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so smooth, crisp, clean. Like he's got it. And I'm just sitting there laughing at corny jokes. You know what I'm saying? My brother, he is, when it comes to marketing and talking to people, like he's on point, and he picks up all. So we started Falzo first, okay, and I had this idea in my head, like I know it can work, I know how to get it there, I know, but I don't know how the website and all the stuff that goes, like the shipping and the credit card processing. I don't know any of that. Well, dude, that's his niche, and he just came in. He's like, let's do it together, and we did. And then with this 501c3, there's 5 of us. I do all the roasting. My partner John Sheffield, he is in charge of our commercial accounts and all of our fundraising stuff. Stacy Hughes takes care of all of our shipping labels and any kind of clerical work, any kind of miscellaneous stuff that I need done. She handles all that. My brother handles all of social, or our marketing campaigns, and then Justin Hashaw, he handles all of our photography and social media accounts.
Nice.
So just the delegation part of it, man. Like that's what saved me in it, because I have all these ideas in my head, but there's no way I could put them all to paper by myself.
Yeah.
And without my crew behind me, without my team, it would be next to impossible. It really would.
Yeah,
I'm able to focus on the product itself, which is what I'm good at. They're good at all the other stuff, I can push a good product.
It's good. Well, it's good to have a good team behind you. And I was listening to a podcast tonight that I just started listening to a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. And this lady's a stay-at-home mom, and she does a lot of marketing, and she's making a lot of money doing the whole marketing influencer type stuff. But she's like, and this is how I got other people to work for me. Mm-hmm. And she started talking about it. I was like, well, that's a good idea. She's like, and listen, having somebody pick out your groceries and have them ready for you when you pull up at the curb, that's having somebody work for you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you're right.
Okay, I got you. I understand. Yeah. I need to start looking at some stuff, because I'm doing 900 different things,
of course,
and running the podcast and the marketing. And I had a marketing meeting this morning with the Chronicle and all types of stuff going on, and it's that delegation that
it's key. It's key, man.
Being able to break out and get some other people working for you. I've tried to get the 5-year-old and the 2-year-old to do different stuff, and it typically doesn't work out the way I had planned.
Yeah, of course.
But it's a lot of fun. What do you think some of the disadvantages of owning your own small business are?
It's all on you, man. Like if something, I fell apart probably about 3 weeks ago. Okay. And then I'm just being 100% honest. I got a 2-star review on my Etsy account, which everything on my podcast, everything on Falzo, and everything on Fair Dinkum was 5-star ratings, right? Customer service, product quality, the whole 9. I got this 2-star review, man, and it hit home for me. I couldn't believe it. I'm trying to reach out to this guy, like, please, let me know what I can do to fix this. Like, anything. If you want me to refund your money and send you more products, like, please tell me how I can fix this. Was it? I wish I could show you the message. It's probably 3 pages long.
Yeah.
And I probably bombarded the guy way too much, but it hit home for me. It really did. So when it comes to stuff like that, dude, like you got to take those hits. I mean, there's nobody to fall back on. It's you. It's when something goes wrong, it's you got to be the one to fix it.
Yep. We've had a couple bags of coffee from at a couple points that went through and didn't get sent on my end, and I was like, oh yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. It's coming.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a learning process when it comes to dealing with
it is, man. It really is.
The small business stuff and doing the different. I took a note from my buddies. I interviewed Ike a few weeks ago here, and he does all of his customer service stuff via email. There's no phone calls. There's nothing like that. If you need customer service stuff, you have to email him. And that's because everybody in his team gets the email. And that way, if one person responds, then the next person knows what that response was, and it carries on. I was like, well, I'm going to use that. And so I've got a phone number, but you're just going to get a message that says email me.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, honestly, I'm not going to answer it. I don't even know where the phone is.
Yeah.
The baby took the phone. I was like, hey, here, take the phone.
Yeah.
So that's always something that you have to deal with on customer service issues.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a challenge.
Yeah.
So let me see here, where are you carried anywhere locally there in Deer Park?
We are not at this point. We're online only.
Online only through Etsy or Roasters Marketplace, or where else are you? That's it?
That's it. Etsy and Roasters Marketplace is the only stuff our stuff is available.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
That's it.
Roasters Marketplace. Unless you buy in factory direct, which is awesome. So what do you think on the time frame for a new roaster? What are y'all looking at there?
Being a 501c3, it's very hard. It's very hard to determine that. Fingers crossed, hopefully 6 to 8 months. That's my goal, because we've already put the money to start these companies up. So the plan is to let them grow organically. We don't want to just be dumping money into them. So if the company's growing, if the company's moving, then we will start upgrading equipment as needed.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be really nice if Mill City gave y'all like a 5 kilo.
Whew, buddy.
Right?
No joke.
I'll come down and help you set it up.
There you
go.
go.
Learn how to do it. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the podcast. So I've listened to a couple episodes, and you kind of got me. Let me take a drink of water here because I'm getting scratchy. You kind of started me. I talked to you before I started this. I was like, hey, Chris, how involved is it? And you're like, go for it. Like that was your first thing. You're like, just go for it. Get the equipment and go for it. I was like, well, I got the equipment. I got what I needed to.
Yeah.
I can, you're like, just go for it. Just get on there and start putting out the content. And that's what I did. Yes. So tell us a little bit about Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit.
So backstory, me and my brother-in-law come from 2 completely different backgrounds. We were raised 2 completely different ways. This day and age, man, all you do is you see people fighting, and you see people who have 2 different viewpoints, who have 2 different sets of ideas, and they can't sit down and have a normal conversation. They can't talk like adults and then at the end of the conversation walk away and shake hands and still be friends. It's so few and far between, man. So what we did is when we started this podcast, that was like the prime example we wanted to do. We wanted to show people that 2 people with 2 different backgrounds, raised 2 completely different ways, can sit down and have a conversation, enjoy each other's company, and actually listen and hear each other out. And at the end of the conversation, if neither of us agree with each other or neither of us have budged, either way, it's all good. Like there's no reason to, fight and cuss and scream at each other. So it's kind of like trying to set the bar for the people who are listening, for the people who have different viewpoints and have different ideas, just open your ears and listen, man. That's all you got to do.
And when I listened to the first podcast that you had on the channel, back when I was thinking about this one, I was like, I like this. I like where he's going with it, and that's kind of the inspiration for the whole. Lean here.
There you go. I love it.
Common grounds. Finding out what we have in common, because where you grew up and what I did, two totally different things. And the people I've brought on here for the roasting part of it, totally different backgrounds. A lot of us,
of course.
But we all can get together and talk about how much we love coffee.
Of course.
And we might not be able to do it in person all the time, but it is definitely something that brings people together.
Of course.
And it should be bringing people together more often.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, man. I think what you got going on is really awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We're ticking up. We're ticking up. We broke 100 downloads today on the podcast. Our YouTube channel has a little bit over 60 hours watched of it now, which is cool. Nowhere near monetization, but we're moving up.
There.
We're
moving up, and that's what matters.
That's what matters. Putting out the content. And so, speaking of content, I'm going to use that as a segue. Next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Let me make sure I'm right on that. 6 o'clock. It might be 6 o'clock. Next Tuesday, March 10th at 6 p.m., I'm going to be interviewing a chef, Lance McHorter. I hope I'm saying his name right. He was on Chopped a couple weeks ago, Chopped Kitchen on the Food Network.
Yeah.
He was a restaurant. He was a head chef, executive chef at two Hill Country restaurants before he opened up Culture ETX up in, I want to say, Tyler.
Okay.
Maybe Tyler. I'm looking at it wrong. But he's won a ton of awards. Really cool dude.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The neat thing about it is he's a Iraqi combat veteran as well.
Very cool.
He served a tour in Iraq, and he was actually in the same unit that I was in on my second tour, just separate tours. Like, we know the same dudes. Like, we were in Iraq with the same dudes in different years. And I started seeing all of his posts, and dude, he does some awesome stuff. Whole hog butchering in his restaurant. The whole thing. And so we're going to get on. And that's one of the things that I've always wanted to do with the podcast is I'm a huge foodie, dude. I love to eat.
Yeah.
I love to eat, and I love to talk about food. And so,
of course,
that's one of the directions that we're going to go with the podcast is talking to people about food, because that's something a lot of people, one, agree on, or they can disagree on. Like, let's start talking about beans and chili and why those do not belong in chili.
Of course.
So we're going to be doing that, and I'll actually get you back in. You're a pretty good hype guy, so I'll get you back in.
That's what my brother-in-law. That's his nickname for him is Hype Gorilla. Like, I'm all about it. I want to hear an idea, and I'm gonna feed you that fuel, man. I love the new stuff.
That's awesome. So, what's your plans? What's your plans for Falzo, and where are you going with that in the near future? We'll plug that one.
So when we started Falzo, it started off very slow, and after a ton of market research and after a ton of talking to people, it's just not a sexy product, right? It's not something that's appealing to the eye or something like that.
Right.
It's a practical thing. So it's our main focus for 2020 is putting together a massive marketing campaign and trying to make this, I don't want to say make it a sexy product, but make it appealing to people. We're really trying to put that convenience factor in it. I see people all the time walking to the grocery store with an air filter in their shopping cart, and it's taking up half the room. All I do is hand them a business card. Look, check this out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that
So for 2020, our main goal is to put together a monster marketing campaign.
and having that stuff that you don't think about all the time on auto order,
Exactly.
and it shows up, and you're like, oh, it's time to change the air filter. It is.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea, man. It's a good idea.
Well, I appreciate that.
Definitely get out there, and as the weather warms up and starts getting nicer, look into hitting up some. A lot of my roasters have really, really good luck at farmers markets, man. They kill it.
Oh yeah,
at farmers markets.
Sure.
If you can get into a couple of those, that'll be awesome for you. But
yeah,
I really
I think we've got 4 or 5 scheduled for the next couple of months.
Oh, nice. Well, let me know.
Dinkum. Yeah.
Let me know, and I'll definitely share that information on Facebook.
Awesome. We really appreciate that.
And help get the word out about it. So, and once again, Chris, thanks for all you're doing with your community there. That's awesome that you're working so hard and turning around and pouring more back into your community. And thanks for coming on. Thanks
for having me.
Thanks for coming on, man. And thanks for being there, being with us right out the gate. We really appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely, buddy. Thank you for having me. It was
great talking to you, man. You have a great evening.
We'll see y'all later.
Bye. And